He could be a low volume puncher, but he could do whatever he wanted to do in the ring.
And I would say Lewis could do the same thing. I mean, he did have, like Ali, he did have the reach advantage over the majority of his fighters that he faced, but he also, I mean, another one, something that could be in the future a knockout of the day, is absolutely embarrassed and demolished the 6'6", 240-pound Primo Carnera. I mean, granted, Carnera, I'm not putting Carnera in a conversation with one of the great heavyweights.
Yeah, I hope you didn't do that.
No, absolutely not.
We'd be ending this conversation.
Yeah, just hang up the phone now. But I mean, but just like the sheer mass and, you know, the physicality of somebody that big, and just to say, I mean, clearly Lewis was not standing on the outside jabbing away at Primo Carnera. He was inside and he was brawling, and he absolutely, I mean, it was worse than that Bruno fight with Tyson, where, I mean, he had him, you know, fish legging all over the ring. I mean, it was worse than that. I don't know if you've seen that fight, but I mean, I forget how many knockdowns there were before it was finally called.
I'll be honest with you. I think we have we had the privilege of watching Ali, you know, because most if not all of his fights were televised. So we've seen a lot of his big fights and a lot of, you know, we've seen it. You know, we haven't seen as much. Now, mind you, I love the sport of boxing. I've studied Joe Louis.
Absolutely.
I definitely think that he is in the top 3 greatest heavyweights of all time.
I mean, would you put him? I know I would. Would you put Lewis ahead of Frazier and Norton?
Oh, absolutely.
And you know, both of those guys beat Ali. Yeah, both of those guys beat Ali. And Lewis, I think, is clearly better than both.
But Ali is clearly
I'm not
better
here.
than Ali is clearly better than every other fighter Joe Louis ever fought.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
He's Joe Louis never fought a fighter like Muhammad Ali.
Right, and I mean,
has the advantage in that respect of fighting fighters like Joe Louis. High volume punchers, power punchers. He's got that advantage.
Right. I mean, you know, I would say probably the best. I mean, other than Schmeling, the best fighter that Lewis took on was Jersey Joe Walcott. And, you know, you draw that comparison of, you know, Ali dropped the first fights to Norton and Frazier and then took them in the 2 subsequent fights.
Right.
I mean, that first fight with Walcott was a war, probably, again, a little bit of Lewis doing that, underestimating his opponent. And then he came back, and then in the second fight, it was no contest. I mean, it wasn't quite as bad as Schmeling, but he knocked him out pretty easily.
Right.
And, I mean, Jersey Joe Walcott is, I mean, I think Jersey Joe Walcott's the most underrated fighter of all time, in my opinion.
Who?
Jersey Joe Walcott.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He got trapped in between 2 great champions.
Marciano and Lewis.
Marciano and Lewis.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that nullifies the power of Joe Louis is Ali's chin.
Right.
You know, that's another thing. Some of that power advantage that he may have doesn't really mean as much fighting a guy who was never knocked out. And it's not like like Mayweather's never been knocked out, but who's ever really hit Mayweather? You know, there's nobody who hit. You know, he got hit with a flush left hook from Frazier. He let George Foreman hit. Sonny Liston tried to sabotage the fight, and he was hitting Ali on the ropes. You know, these are great punches, great hard punches. You know, and he never was knocked out. And I think that's something to be said about a career. So when he's never been knocked out by any of these great punches, and no matter how hard, he could be ranked the greatest, you know, puncher pound for pound in the world, but Ali's chin is that good.
Yeah.
That now his power is not so much of an advantage. And because of Ali's style, he's not going to be in there banging away anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
So he's really not going to put himself in a position where he's being hit with that power too often.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, Foreman never got a clean shot.
I think it becomes a unanimous decision win for Ali. If we're talking, you know, where we round fights these days.
But back then it would be 15.
In a 15-round fight, I would go 10-5.
You would go 10-5.
I would go 10-5.
See, I would think. All right, I'll put it. All right, you posed the one fight question to me. In a trilogy, do you think Lewis could take a fight?
Yes, in a trilogy, I think Lewis could take a fight. Because again, we are talking about one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Right.
Okay. That's like saying if Kobe played Michael Jordan one-on-one, would Kobe take a couple games from Michael? Absolutely. Is Michael clearly the better player? Absolutely.
So you still maintain that Ali is clearly ahead of Lewis. It's not debatable.
I think it. I'm not saying it's a whole mountains ahead of him, but I think he's clearly the classiest, best fighter in that division's history.
Okay.
You say what you want about him, as far as him, showboating and all of those things, but Ali's clearly the better fighter.
All right. Well, thank you. Let's go ahead and wrap it up with that. I mean, we got. Me admitting that Ali probably takes the decision. I think it's going to be closer in 100% Joe Louis versus 100% Muhammad Ali. I'll admit Ali probably does take it, albeit I think it's going to be a much closer decision than you think. I think it's going to be a split decision. You think you see it that Louis could take 1 out of 3 fights. I mean, I think just
if he's going to get one, he's got to get the first one though.
Right, and that's probably what would happen. I mean, Grant taking these gentlemen's histories into account. I mean,
yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you very much for being on the show today. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Yes, thanks a lot, Coach Ferris. Take care.
All right, have a good one.
Yep.
Bye.
So there you have it. Maybe Ali takes Lewis. Maybe he doesn't. We'll never know. But at least we gave it some thought. Your thoughts. Feel free to leave some comments. Thank you for watching. Keep reading. I'm Alexander Deagle. You can follow me on Twitter at TheSportsDude7 or look up my Bleacher Report profile and become a fan. Take care, everybody.